The race is between the most qualified candidate ever, again Clinton, and an orangutan with a bad haircut. Such commentators are infuriated by equal treatment of the two candidates by the media, calling it, quote, false equivalence. Fox News media analyst and host of Media Buzz, Howard Kurtz, joins me now. Howard, what in the hell is going on with the media these days on this subject?
Well, I'm not in favor of false equivalence. If Donald Trump makes twice as many disputed or controversial comments as Hillary Clinton, we shouldn't pretend otherwise. But a lot of people in the media, Britt, are using, especially on the left, are using this false equivalence banner to say that we need to kick the stuffing out of Donald Trump because we in the press have a patriotic duty to expose him. Exhibit A, Nick Kristof, prize-winning liberal columnist for the New York Times, writing is a journalistic malpractice to quote each side and leave it to readers to draw their own conclusions. Even if one side seems to fabricate facts or make ludicrous comments, we owe it to readers to signal when we're writing about a crackpot. So if you view Trump as a crackpot, then you have to be much rougher on him.
Well, you know, but what about the idea that we as reporters covering a campaign are not supposed to cover the candidate or the candidates based on our own personal view of that candidate? I mean, you have your views and I have mine about both candidates. But as we cover the race, I was always taught that what you're supposed to do is be neutral. Now, people accuse us of being slanted one way or the other, but this seems to me that there's an argument going on here in favor of being slanted.
Well, I want to make a distinction between commentators on the right, who also don't like Trump, as well as the left, who are entitled to their opinions. A lot of people we call reporters, they also kind of double as pundits these days. The lines have been blurred. But for all of that, you see this in people who are the editors of websites, who are daily beat reporters and what they say on Twitter. There is a snarkiness and a revulsion at what Donald Trump says and does. I am not opposed to aggressive reporting when he takes back the birther conspiracy. There should be tough reporting. When he's got problems with the Trump Foundation, there should be tough reporting. But there's a difference between that and the kind of the tone that is creeping into many of these news stories seems increasingly, by any measure, to be anti-Trump.
And this, of course, carries over, and we've talked about this. This carries over into the argument that's going on now about the proper role of debate moderators, who traditionally, when you think of, you know, Jim Lehrer and all the debates he did, Bob Schieffer, I was involved in one back in 1988 before a lot of people were born, and I wasn't that young then, Howard. But the idea was that you were basically up there to try to throw challenging questions to each candidate and let each other respond to their answers. And now we're sort of hearing that, well, you really can't do that because, you know, you got to intervene in case a candidate says something that you think is false and correct the record. Now, our colleague Candy Crowley over at CNN tried that with Mitt Romney, and I think came to grief over it 4 years ago. But what about that?
Well, the reason that Matt Lauer took so much heat from his colleagues in the press was because of the feeling that he wasn't...
And that wasn't even a debate.
Yeah, and he was the only interviewer that he wasn't tough enough on Trump. Donald Trump made this argument to me last week. Oh, all the moderators are going to be unfair because they're going to fear Lauer-like criticism from their buddies in the media. But the thing is, Britt, that unlike in a Sunday morning interview, when it is the job of the interviewer to follow up, to call out, to say this is wrong,
nobody out there to do the answering.
In a general election debate where the two candidates are supposed to go at each other, you don't want to be, as a moderator, debating the candidate yourself. And a lot of this is driven by the media assumption Trump's going to get up there and lie. Hillary may shade the truth, but Trump's really the liar here. And the moderators have to step out of their role and to expose him. Well, that's not the job of the moderator, and it's not the job of journalists to expose a candidate. We should be aggressive toward both sides. A lot of people in our business, and I've never seen this before in a campaign, now feel like it's okay, it's even our duty to tilt one way in this campaign.
Boy, wow, what a difference. Howard, thank you.
Good to see you.